What's going on, people? So, got some shoes in on Monday, right? Yeah, Monday, sat down, did this YouTube live unboxing thing. That's a thing I like to do once in a while. Almost didn't because I had to do this whole laptop upgrade thing because, I bought a second drive for the laptop. And it's Dell XPS 159530 in case anybody cares. So I bought a second drive for it, Samsung 990 Pro 2 terabyte, in case anybody cares. And so I put that in, but then, I didn't have any M2 screws, so I had to order screws for that. I had to wait for that to happen. It only took like 2 days, not a big deal. Then, get that all set up, everything's good. Then it's like, okay, now I gotta move all these, or migrate these Dropbox files from drive A to drive B. That took for freaking ever because I have a lot of files, like from, all the editings, 4K, lots of pictures. So that was something in itself. And then everything was fine eventually, and I was able to do the little live thing, and now got all the pictures and stuff on feeds yesterday, so now I'm ready to just record this thing and get on into it. Speaking of getting on into it, down there, side of the box, right? Yeah, that's not super interesting to most people, but there's like 3 people that I've heard comments from over the last 4 years that have been like, yeah, that's helpful to me. So there's that. This right here. This is the Asics Gel-K1011 in white and pure silver. Though, honestly, when I look at this, yeah, there's a lot of white, but the other colors are the ones that kind of stand out the most, But I get it. The white and the silver does make up most of the shoe, so it is what it is. You ready for this? Doesn't matter. We're doing it anyway. Down there across the bottom, right? What are you looking at down there? Well, apparently you're looking at something based off of the Cumulus 17. That means nothing to me. I've never actually seen one in person. But I will say it is pretty colorful, and I do like colorful things. So there's that. Moving on up here to the midsole and whatnot. Again, this whole lower area is supposed to be based off of that Cumulus 2017. I don't know how accurate this is or whatever, or how similar it is, I should say. But I do like it. It's got the little gel stuff in the back and the front, some colors and whatnot. Makes it not look too plain, which is always a good thing, And then when you look on the inside here, it's very much the same, but this time it does look a little bit more plain because you don't have the little gel pieces that you can see anyways, right? So that's what's going on there. Now, other than that, we can get you a couple other pictures in here real quick before we go diving on into this whole review breakdown sort of thing, because this is a new model to me, maybe new to a lot of people, so there will be a little bit more of the pictures and a little bit more of the talking going on this time around. We're going to start this thing with the toe box though. Down here, right, toe box area on the top piece, you got a lot of mesh. Maybe you noticed that, maybe you didn't, but I'm telling you in case you didn't, right? Because that's how these things work. So you got that, feels pretty nice. Around that though, that is kind of that like fake leather, whatever they call that. I think there's a word for it, but either way, that's what's going on down there. And it goes all the way from the outside all the way to the inside, right? Kind of even a little bit past where like the main part of the toe box is, So that's happening there. Feels pretty cheap and whatnot, but I get it, it makes for an okay look. But personally, I do prefer the meshing type shoes. So one other thing, down in there you do have a little bit of 3M or whatever. And when I say a little bit of 3M, I mean like a very little bit. So that's happening. And then moving on past that, right, as far as like the middle area goes, that's going to be pretty much the same on the outside, and then if you look on the inside, it's the same sort of presentation that they're doing, right? It makes it easy, I guess, on the design perhaps, but it's just going to be the Asics logo, white background full with a lot of mesh and stuff. There's of course a lot of silver going on in there as the side of the box implied. As we step farther back to the rear end of this here shoe, right, on the outside you have the Asics logo, and it's also written in there Asics, right, in this blue little stitched on sort of deal, right? You don't have that on the inside. The inside, once again, like the midsole, just plain. So there's that for you. And as far as like the very back goes, it's pretty decent, I guess. I do like this little silvery line that they have going around here. First I thought it was going to be like some sort of 3M, but like I was saying before, there's not a whole lot of that on this shoe. But otherwise, that's what's going on back there. So moving on, I think that's kind of enough out of that. So we'll jump over to the front piece, talk about some laces for a second here. So these laces, right? Plain, black, nothing special about them. There's no colors on the tips or anything like that. It's just that somewhat round, somewhat flat Air Max Plus type of lace that they have on a lot of things. You'll even see that on this green pair in a minute here. So that's what's going on there. And then on the sides, obviously just a lot more of that fake leather, just kind of lining things down, holding the laces in place and all that stuff, right? Behind that though, you do have a nice splash of color with the blue, light blue sort of thing going on for the tongue, which is super plush. It's a big mesh thing. You can tell that for yourself though. And you got the little bit of orange in there along the way as well. And then as you get to the top, I mean, you still have like the mesh all the way around for the most part, but you have this little fake leather section that just kind of breaks it up a little bit. And then in the middle, you got the A for Asics, of course, right? And on the inside, while we're talking about the tongue, the inside of it still feels pretty nice. It's fairly plush, honestly. I think I may have said that, I don't know. But you got that going on. Pretty standard stuff. That's what you might expect anyways from these retro runner type shoes. Now, as we look onto the inside here, the inside is going to be mostly just kind of blacked out for the sock liner. And then as far as things go down on the insole, that, well, it's just going to be plain white. Kind of like how those Gel Kinetic Fluents were all just plain black, and it was weird to me. This is also kind of weird to me. I'm just so used to there being some sort of logo in there. But anyway, so there's going to be that for you. I think, what's that? Oh, I think that should cover everything, right? So we're going to jump on into some personal thoughts, things in there, all that good stuff. And then I'll, let you know how these feel, or how I feel about them. And then I'll let you know how they feel like on the feet and whatnot, with the sizing, the comfort, If you've been around here before, that's kind of how these videos are structured. They're all the same. All right. I saw these initially online and I thought, oh, that looks kind of cool. But then I saw the local Asics guy, like the tech rep for our region or whatever. He had them and I was talking to him, asking him how he felt about them. And he's like, yeah, those are pretty all right, So I was like, all right, maybe I'll pick up a pair, because I got this cherry blossom thing coming around and I figured maybe I'll get some shoes for walking around in that day. I like to break out new shoes when new races are coming around, or bigger races and stuff. So since I won't be running in these, it seemed like they could be pretty all right. I mean, it is based off of some older things, right? It's based off of the Kayano 5, 6, and 10, right? Which I think is where the name comes from, 10 being 10 and 5 plus 6 being 11. But either way, so I picked them up, looked at them all in all over the last couple days, doing the pictures and the initial unboxing. Things are looking really good with these. And not to get too far ahead of myself, but they feel really good too. And they only come in at $130, which is pretty nice, decent price point, So all in all, I'm pretty happy with this purchase. I'm not normally a big white shoe guy, but sometimes things just work out better than you might expect them to. And this is kind of one of those cases. Not to oversell it, I'm just saying I like them. How do you feel about them? That's your whole thing, right? I'm not trying to change that. I don't want you to think that you have to agree with me. You can, if anything, conversations get a little more interesting when people disagree, because then you can see someone else's perspective. But anyway, so that's what's going on there. I think that's pretty much enough. Gonna move on, talk about the comfort in these, the sizing, and that whole thing, because that's what people really want to hear about. You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and knock this thing out. Then I can get on to shoe number 2. I bought these true to size, right? True to size for me is 9.5, because I have a size 9.5 foot. Tends to work out on a lot of things. It does work out on these. However, they don't seem to have the most room in them in some ways. And I think a lot of that is just because it's kind of a plush sort of material that they use on the tongue and on the siding and all that stuff, right? It just kind of seems a little bit like that. And then when you add on the fact that there's all the extra the fake leather type stuff going on around the sides and the toe box region, kind of makes it seem like you're a little more confined. So yeah, all in all, right, I think a lot of people might want to try these out first, or just go up a half a size or something, because they didn't seem to have a whole lot of width to them. Dimensions, from front to back seemed okay. I didn't have any complaints there. And even still, for me, this is working out fine. I just hesitate to say that that'll work out for a lot of people, So there is that. I mean, you can loosen the laces and that kind of helps a little bit, but I'm just saying Asics does have a pretty good return policy. You might want to, cash in on that just in case. Anyway, so past that though, they are fairly breathable, because they have so much of this extra leathery type material on there. It does kind of take away from some of that. compared to especially like this green pair over here. But still not bad or anything. And then the main thing being like, how do they feel walking around in them? This midsole, while old, is feeling pretty alright. It's got this flight foam propel, which basically, like, when I looked that up, it was all the normal buzzwords of, oh, it's lighter and it's more responsive. It's like, you say that every year, dude. And apparently they've been saying that for many years. But anyways, it feels really good because it's gel all throughout, so that's pretty alright to me. It makes for a really nice feel from front to back on under your foot, so we'll come back to that in this other review, I'll tell you what. But yeah, these things are seeming alright to me. I will tell you this, they don't have a whole lot of colors of these things right now, and that's kind of one thing that might turn some people away because they don't have this one and the black one. But if one of those is for you, fantastic. If neither of them are for you, well then that's unfortunate. But usually these Asics folks drop a lot of colors of things, so I'm guessing that'll happen. I mean, it happened with the Kinetic Fluent, right? And that was even before those really even took off. So high hopes, at least for me. Though I'm good with these, so it doesn't even matter if they don't make any better ones. Whatever. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever is wherever you are. I've said all I need to say about these, I think. So I'm going to move on to the next video. Later, people.